Abbreviations, acronyms, and initialisms. An abbreviation is any shortened form of a word. For example, apartment. The abbreviation of apartment is often spelled as APT period. For doctor, as in the title doctor for someone who holds an advanced degree, we abbreviate it as DR period. Information is a common word that we abbreviate. We often spell it as INFO period. Another common abbreviation is FT period, which stands for featuring, as in another singer being featured in a music video as a second artist. Street is also a word that is commonly abbreviated as ST period. Acronyms. How are acronyms different? Well, an acronym is a type of abbreviation. So it's actually an abbreviation too. But they usually take the first letter of a series of words, and this is important. It can be pronounced. For example, test of English as a foreign language. Instead of saying TOEFL, we oftentimes pronounce it as TOEFL. Another example is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Instead of saying the NASA, we pronounce it as NASA. The President of the United States. Again, instead of saying POTUS, we say POTUS. The National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. Instead of saying NASCAR, we often pronounce it as NASCAR. So that is an acronym. Okay. Now you probably know of other abbreviations where we don't pronounce the letters, and those are called initialisms, which are also abbreviations. Initialism is a type of abbreviation, and it takes the first letter of a series of words, just like acronyms, but it is not pronounced. Now, some of them can be pronounced, but they're just not commonly pronounced. So it's a choice. It is not pronounced. For example, USA. It stands for the United States of America. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably say USA, but I think it's safe to say that most people don't. So because we say USA, it's technically an initialism. Now, some people may still say it's just an acronym, and personally, I think that's okay. The Central Intelligence Agency is also an initialism, technically. CIA. We don't say CIA. We usually say CIA. New York City is often called NYC. Now, these types of abbreviations where there's no vowel letter, it's really difficult to pronounce. Cable News Network, CNN. That's another initialism. Now, in summary, what is an abbreviation, acronym, and initialism? An abbreviation is any shortened form of a word. An acronym and an initialism, they are abbreviations, but an acronym can be pronounced as a word, and an initialism is not pronounced as a word. So those are pretty much the differences. Okay, now when we write acronyms or initialisms, do we write the period or not? Now let's take a look at FBI. Here you can see it with periods after each letter, but it's optional. I think people choose to leave out periods just for the sake of convenience. Just less things to write, less things to type, or it could be for stylistic purposes. Maybe some people think FBI just looks cleaner without the periods. Okay, and that's fine. PST, again, you can just write PST for Pacific Standard Time. You don't need to write the periods after each letter. Again, ASAP, a very common acronym, ASAP. You don't need the periods. As a matter of fact, in informal writing, for example, a text message, you don't even have to use capital letters. You can just write ASAP all in lower case letters like that. LOL, you see this a lot. Again, in this case, actually writing the period looks odd. So in this case, we just write it without the periods. And oftentimes this is in lowercase letters as well. Another example is FYI. We use this a lot in the business world, and it's often spelled without the periods, just like so, instead of FYI. And this is also spelled in lowercase letters, just like this, when it's used informally. Now for abbreviations, for single word abbreviations, in this case, we do often write a period at the end of the abbreviation. For example, information, info. We usually see it with the period at the end. Now it's okay sometimes to write it just like that, but I think usually we add a period. Approximately, definitely, I've seen it with a period at the end. So this was a brief overview of the differences between abbreviations, acronyms, and initialisms. There are more rules, but this is just a basic guideline.